Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm making kala chana or black chickpea. It's a very simple recipe yet tastes like restaurant. So first thing first, we are going to soak the kala chana for overnight, or at least you can soak them for 4 to 6 hours. So I'm using 2 cup chana here. Add a lot of water, at least 3 times, because this chana will soak a lot of water. After they are soaked for a required amount of time, we are going to boil them. So rinse away all the water because we are going to add fresh water while boiling. We need just enough water to cover the chana level. You can also boil them in a pot or a pressure cooker. So for a pressure cooker which comes with whistle, you need to cook them for 5 to 6 whistles in a pot on medium heat for 50 to 60 minutes. To bring the dark restaurant look in the chana, we are going to add some tea bag. You can skip the tea bag. The best thing to use is amla. Amla is the Indian gooseberry. You can use the dry version. If you don't have tea bag, you can also use this tea diffuser. You can also add some whole spices along with the tea, which we can discard after they are boiled. Now I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt and I'm gonna give it a mix. We'll close the lid and going to cook it on pressure cook mode for 40 minutes. As I mentioned before, if you are using a traditional pressure cooker with a whistle on, then you need to cook it for 4 to 5 whistles and let the pressure release naturally. And in a pot on medium heat, you can cook them for 50 to 60 minutes or until they are soft. While the chickpeas are boiling, we are going to make a spice mix. To make this spice mix, we need a pan and some dry spices. So I have whole spices here, some chili, bay leaf, cinnamon, and some cloves. You can increase or decrease the quantity as per your taste and the amount of chickpeas you are cooking. Now I'm adding 2 teaspoons of whole coriander, 1 teaspoon of cumin seed. Look, if you don't have the whole spices, feel free to use the powder. In that case, you have to add them at the time of cooking. Some white and black pepper. If you don't have white pepper, use only black, that's fine. And some black and green cardamom. Some saff or fennel seed. It's about 1 teaspoon. Now we have all the spices. We're going to dry roast them. While dry roasting, have some patience and cook them on low to medium because we don't want the spices to burn. If they burn, then it's going to turn bitter. So we have to keep the taste and the flavor on. And this is I'm using anardana powder, which is pomegranate seeds, and amchur powder, dry mango powder. So these are the spices. Just because it's dry, I'm going to keep it aside. We are not going to roast them. This process will take about 5 to 7 minutes and has to be on low to medium. We just need a light color on the spices and the aroma. And now keep it aside and make it a powder. So I'm using a paste with some garlic powder, a small piece of ginger. This is organic ginger, so it's very strong. But if you are using the thick one, so then use a little more. 2 to 3 medium onion and make a paste. Keep it aside. Our chickpeas are boiled and the pressure is released. Now we're going to check the chickpeas. You should be able to press and match the chickpeas with your finger, and this is ready. You might think the water is dirty, but it changed because of the tea bags. You can discard the water because I'm not going to use a lot of water in this cooking, so I don't need the water. Now let's move on to the actual cooking. So I added 3 tablespoons of oil. We need a little more oil in this recipe, and we added the onion, garlic, and ginger paste. We'll be cooking these spices until the raw smell is completely gone. So roughly it's going to take about 10 minutes on a medium heat. To cook this faster, we're going to add a little amount of salt. After you add salt, this will release water very quickly and it will cook faster. You must have noticed the paste changed the color to green. That's because of the garlic paste, but don't worry, we can change this color to a natural curry. We're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder and half teaspoon of Kashmiri red chili powder. After adding these 2 spices, the color will slowly change into a normal curry color. If you are not using whole cumin, whole coriander in the roasting spices, then this is the time you should be adding your powder. And once they are nicely cooked, you can see the color is changed, the smell is changed. Now we are going to add our boiled chickpeas. I drained the water and only using the chickpeas. Now we'll cook them on medium to high heat. Just because the chickpeas are dry, if you notice the spices are burning and sticking to the bottom, then add a little bit water, almost like 1 to 2 tablespoons would be fine, just to prevent the spices from burning. Otherwise, keep the heat low and keep stirring. So I keep it on low and cover and leave it for 5 minutes. Just I want the spices to infuse with the chickpeas. And after 5 minutes, we're going to give it another mix. So this is the time we add our amchur and the anardana powder. So if you don't have it, don't worry. You can use 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And now this is going our dry roasted spices. I cool them down and grind them into fine powder. I'm going to use 80% of these spices because I'm not adding any water. So for a dry recipe, this much powder will be enough. But if you're adding water, let's say 1.5 cup, that's when you can use the entire spices, because too much spices will also change the taste and it will taste bitter. So I started to notice that the spices are burning, so I'm going to add just 2 tablespoons of water just to prevent it burning at the bottom. But if you're using a non-stick pan, it should not be required. So we are almost at the end of our cooking. So you can press the chickpeas, so some of them will break and it will taste even better. And if you think it's too dry, and it depends on how you're eating this, then add some hot water based on your desired thickness, but don't add cold water, it will ruin the taste. So you could see how easy this chickpea recipe is. The best way I like to eat this with some raw onion, some raw chili, some coriander powder with some haldiram bhujia. I just sprinkle that on top and I mix and eat it. It's so delicious, but you can make it on your own way. So let me know, how did you like this recipe?